In this episode of Metaverse Brands, we're going to do a deep dive on iHeartLand from iHeartMedia, exploring everything marketers and executives need to know about this innovative brand activation. Hi, I'm Steve Dypiangco, host of Metaverse Brands. Welcome to this new episode where we're going to talk about iHeartMedia's very cool experience within the Roblox platform. So iHeartMedia is a huge media company focused on radio stations primarily in the United States, covering everything from pop music, country, oldies, rock and roll, hip hop. And they also have a podcasting division. They also run digital and live events. And so iHeartMedia has launched a full game / experience within the Roblox platform, and it's called iHeartLand. And this is a very interesting experience because they're doing a lot of innovative things in the space, bringing in sponsors, bringing in artists into the space. So we're going to go into all of that. So what is the experience? Let me break down real quick what iHeartLand is. So iHeartLand is a game within the Roblox platform. It's a music tycoon game. And the idea is that you are a player in this game and you're going around and your goal is to create a huge radio station empire. So similar to iHeartMedia. And the way you go about this is when you show up in the game, your avatar has this backpack on. It looks very much like a Ghostbusters proton pack. And you walk around the layout, which is like a city, a modern city. So you have streets and you have buildings and there's a park in the middle with a big screen. And throughout this map, there are different sources of music. So that source could be musicians playing on the street, whether it's playing the drums or a sax player. There could also be radios. There could also be little toys like a Jack-in-the-Box. And as you go around, you capture the sounds from these items. And then you go back to your sort of iHeartRadio headquarters. You then deposit those sounds, and it allows you to collect coins. With the coins, you can expand your empire by adding additional sort of power transmitters for your radio station. You can also add new types of radio stations into your roster, which cost these coins. And in the layout, there's not only the city landscape, but then you have these brands that have created spaces as well. So there is a State Farm section where you can meet their sort of TV commercial personality, Jake from State Farm, and interact with him. And you can also purchase State Farm branded virtual apparel, whether it's a hat, whether it's khakis and a red shirt to look like Jake, or a beanbag. And so those items you can purchase with the currency, the soft currency within the game, as opposed to sort of physical or like Robux, which is tied to real monetary value. In addition, Intel has its own space. In that space, they have a Intel computer processor chip, which allows you to collect coins at a faster rate. And so everything is sort of geared around, building this radio station empire. That's sort of the main game function. But then in addition to that, there's also a scavenger hunt. So there's 20 different iHeartRadio logos that are hidden throughout the game board. And if you collect all 20 of those, that'll get you access to a set of virtual headphones with the iHeart logo on them on the side. And so I've already seen there's about 5 different YouTube videos of people showing where all 20 of those items are. So other players can go and access that free virtual merchandise, which certainly has appeal for players who enjoy making their avatar look cool. Just some other notes on the layout. In addition to the different sort of branded experiences, the Intel House, the State Farm virtual store, iHeart itself has a store. In that store, they sell items from previous performing artists. So Lav was their first artist, and they're currently selling purple and green hair. In this case, they're charging 50 Robux, which is the equivalent of 63 cents per item. And so this is, actual Robux as opposed to their in-game coins. And so these are items that you'd be able to take into other games. And certainly the centerpiece of the whole experience is the State Farm Park in the center of town. You have this giant screen in this sort of, park setting. So the park also has a fountain, it has grass, it has chairs and trees and picnic blankets and some non-playable characters dancing around on the picnic blankets. And so what's interesting here is just, they've made, the screen, the center, the focal point of the whole map, of the whole game. And that's where they, will bring in artists and be able to show, content and create special events. All right, who made this game? So iHeartMedia, as mentioned, is this huge media organization, huge company covering a lot of listeners across the United States. So they say on their website that 9 out of 10 Americans will listen to an iHeart radio station at some point, or iHeart radio content at some point during the month. And so with this experience, they've enlisted the help of The Gang, which is a Roblox development studio based out of Sweden. This studio has created a bunch of different branded experiences on the Roblox platform, including Vans World, which has 80 million visits lifetime as of this recording, Gucci Town, which has 35 million visits, Wimbledon, their limited experience, which was up for about a month and had 11 million visitors. They've also worked also in the sports world with McLaren F1 Racing, 4 million visits. And then on their own, The Gang has also created their own interesting IP. Strongman Simulator has 786 million visits, and then Tapping Simulator, 91 million visits. So clearly, the iHeart team went and found a partner with experience in the space, working with brands, and so that's who they worked with. Now, as mentioned, they've done some interesting things here where they've brought in a couple of sponsors into this experience. And so usually when a brand is building a game or experience within Roblox, it's just them. So you have Nike, you have Gucci, again, Vans, these companies, they're bringing their own. But what's really interesting here is that iHeart has gone and brought aboard State Farm as sort of one big sponsor. They also have Intel as a sponsor within this experience as well. And so State Farm has sponsored the naming rights for sort of like the main stage, main area in the center of this game called State Farm Park. And then Intel has created their own space in this game as well. So what's interesting about this is if you're a company out there and you're saying, hey, we should be in Roblox, for example, but we don't want to spend all the money to make this game ourselves. Hey, can we bring in a sponsor? Can we bring in a partner, somebody who we work with already to help cover the cost? And it looks like that's what iHeart has done here, bringing in State Farm and Intel. Based on what I've seen in the market, talking to a variety of different brands and different developers, my guess is, the cost of creating this experience on the Roblox platform was probably in the ballpark of like $400,000, $500,000. What's special about this? Well, to me, what's really interesting that goes beyond just the sort of sponsor, sort of business parts of this are the fact that the experience has such a tie-in to music and artists. So obviously, iHeart is a music-focused brand, and featuring artists is a big part of their business. So what they've done is for the launch of this new Roblox experience, they brought on an artist. The artist's name is Lav, to celebrate his new album release and promoting it with a concert within Roblox. So the opening Friday night of the experience, there was a concert in the sort of center stage within this game, a big screen there. And so sometimes you'll have performances within the metaverse that are avatar based. In this case, it was just a video recording of this performer Lav doing some songs. And so just really interesting way for iHeart to promote its experience by bringing in artists who want to promote their new album releases. So iHeart has announced that they're going to be doing 20 of sort of artist events. So it's going to be a mix of not only musicians, but iHeart, as mentioned earlier, also has a big podcasting business. So they're also saying they're going to bring podcasters onto the stage in their State Farm Park within iHeartLand on Roblox. So really interesting, platform that they've built to support their sort of roster of different artists they want to promote and build relationships with and their record labels, etc. And then again, working with not one, but two sponsors in this activation. All right, so who's the competition here? When I look at the music space, certainly there's a lot of activity within the music space on Roblox, on other metaverse platforms, including Decentraland, including Horizon Worlds, including Fortnite. Certainly, what comes to mind number one is Spotify. So Spotify also has a experience, full-on game within the Roblox platform. It has at this recording 13.8 million visits, 85% upvotes. Interestingly, their experience from Spotify was also created by the gang, the Roblox development studio based in Sweden. And so, interesting that one shop has now done a couple different sort of music-focused experiences. Spotify launched originally with a sort of K-pop focus around their world, and I believe right now they have a hip-hop focus for their game currently. And as mentioned, there's been so many different sort of players from the music world in the metaverse. You have tons of concerts, everything from like Justin Bieber on Wave, Metaverse VR platform. You also have Lil Nas X, and let's see who else. So many others on Roblox. Lil Nas X certainly is the biggest, and then certainly the sort of some of the most famous ones, Metaverse concert experiences, Travis Scott on Fortnite, including Ariana Grande on Fortnite and Marshmello. So lots of innovation, lots of examples of the music industry really pushing forward in a very big way on Metaverse platforms, reaching young users, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, that are inhabiting these spaces. So, how is this iHeartLand experience doing? Well, in the first 7 days, the experience has hit 1.2 million visits, which is, I would say, solid. It's off to a good start. Anytime you're able to cross 1 million visits, that's sort of like the benchmark for sure, the minimum. If you're under 1 million, that's not good at all. So the fact that they're already past 1 million visits in the first 7 days of their launch is really strong. They also have 85% of upvotes with in terms of user rating. And so that's also really solid. Again, if you're over 80%, you're good. There's some experiences out there that are totally down in the 40s, 50s, 60s. That's really bad. So overall early impression is strong. In terms of looking at how many people are sort of tending at the peak. So peak concurrent users, about 3,100 peak concurrent users, which they hit on the Friday night of their opening concert that I mentioned earlier. And then peak daily users, about 366,000, which was the first Saturday. And it was interesting looking this data up and seeing, the Saturday had more traffic than the Friday, and the Friday is the night that had the concert. And to me, again, it just speaks to the fact that what that points to is the fact that the audience that plays Roblox is playing a lot on the weekends. I imagine that's kids in school, whether that's elementary school, middle school, high school, just having more free time, more access to be able to play Roblox on the weekend. So to me, not a huge surprise seeing that spike on the weekends, on Saturday. And then average playtime, about 8 minutes. So 8 minutes is the average playtime per user. To me, that's quite solid. That seems about the average of what I've seen for some of these branded experiences. And to me, again, comparing it to just other types of marketing channels, if you're talking about like an Instagram post, you're talking about a couple seconds. If you're talking about a YouTube video, maybe a couple minutes. So 8 minutes for a branded experience seems like a strong just metric to compare against, like, again, other marketing channels. So how is this experience being promoted? Well, certainly publicity was a big push. So iHeart released a press release announcing this. They got some good pickup from Ad Age, in-depth piece there, as well as Seeking Alpha has covered this new release as well. And then on social media, iHeart has promoted this experience across its socials: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. So what are the key takeaways from this experience for me? Well, from a brand perspective, from a business perspective, from a marketing perspective, really what stands out, number one, are the sponsors. Again, innovation, going to market, not by yourself, iHeart, but also with State Farm, with Intel, bringing them into the mix, creating the space for their partners to be able to reach this young audience and be part of this experience. It makes a ton of sense. iHeart as a business entity is in the attention business. They, are reaching millions of people every day, and they sell advertising. And so this is just an extension of that business. And so that is really the second part of what's sort of interesting to me, is like them translating their existing business model and business practices into the metaverse. So again, building a platform where they can reach new users and bringing in advertisers along with them to reach that audience. And then third is reaching new audiences to begin with. So I would imagine that the iHeart radio audience tends to skew older, is not reaching as many younger consumers, again, in like Gen Z, Gen Alpha, that don't listen to terrestrial radio, that might not listen to, an iHeart radio or iHeartMedia app. And so certainly reaching new audience with this activation. And then for me, what's also interesting is having played the game and seeing that, hey, there's a lot of opportunity to make changes, to make the gameplay flow better, to be clearer, just showing to me, wow, by getting in early, by really starting to build in this space, iHeart has an opportunity to just grow into the metaverse, to be able to make the experiences even more compelling, more sticky, resonate with users in a better way. And that's kind of the beauty of building these games and experiences, is that like what you launch doesn't have to be the final product. You can continually iterate and make them better. And then the last takeaway that sort of like really stood out for me was the opportunity to leverage talent. So bringing in artists, working with artists who have their own followings, who can promote across their social channels, bring their audience onto the platform. That's a huge opportunity to not only, bring awareness to their business, to bring more traffic to their games, to their experience, into their metaverse, but just really an opportunity to just raise the profile overall of what they're doing. Anytime you can bring noticeable talent to the table, that's always a good idea from what I've seen. All right, so that's your deep dive into iHeartLand from iHeartMedia. If you have any questions, if you're interested in learning more about this and other experiences, definitely reach out to me. I'm Steve Dypiangco from Metaverse Marcom, and look forward to sharing more with you in the future. See you in the metaverse.